You've heard the news in 2 minutes, and you're back here on Hard Facts on 99.3 Nigeria Info. I am Sandra Ezekwesili. How can Nigeria achieve police reform? That's the big question today. As young people block the streets and demand an end to SARS, how can Nigeria achieve police reform? And it brings us to our big hard fact today. The police have killed at least 2 persons during the EndSARS protests nationwide. Now, I say at least 2 because there appear to be more, possibly. So we definitely have Jimoh Ishiak in Obomosho. Even President Buhari mentioned him by name. And then we have one protester today in Surulere. I'm still trying to find out their name. So that's 2. But we also have the people who were killed in the King's Palace in Obomosho, the son of Obomosho. Now, like I told you, there's a controversy about whether or not they were protesters or thugs. And the youth minister was supposed to be talking to me about it today, but we have had to reschedule. Hopefully we can get him back on the show and he can tell us exactly what happened in Obomosho. Either way, whether it's 2 or 10, Nigerians have been shot by police during peaceful protests. Protests that the president himself has said Nigerians have a right to hold. Ironically, these protests were against police brutality, were against excessive force, were against extrajudicial killings. So many of the EndSARS protesters are pointing to these deaths as proof that disbanding SARS is not enough. They say the problem goes beyond SARS. SARS is just one bad fruit on a bad tree. So they say the entire force needs to be reformed. But the question is how? And that's part of what we're going to be talking about today. But we're also going to be talking more about the protests themselves. In fact, I'm joined by someone who was part of the protest in Abuja. She's a policy expert and a writer, Saratu Abiola. Welcome back to Hard Facts, Saratu.
Thanks so much for having me.
And we have a second policy expert with us. He used to be a monitoring and evaluation consultant before he started liking money. And now he works for venture capital. He's also in fintech. Chief Andy Borfo, welcome back to Hard Facts.
Good to be here, Sandra. Who doesn't like money?
Lagos, I would like to hear from you as well. You're my 3rd guest on today's show. What do you think about the police's response to the protest? Do you think the Nigeria police force can be reformed? How should that reform happen? What concrete steps should be taken? What do you think about the protesters and their demands? Saratu, I know that you were in the protest over the weekend. What made you join the protest?
Honestly, I'm just tired. I'm tired of seeing ordinary Nigerian lives treated like they're worth nothing. I'm tired of ordinary young Nigerians being not having a country that's worthy of them. We deserve so much better than what we get. And whenever we're asking for 24-hour lights, what will now happen when we're asking for clean water in every community? Make sure that there is light. Okay, good governance. Those are hard things. We're not even asking for the hard things. All we are saying is stop killing us. And that's thing that is becoming problem. Don't kill us with problem, Abi. We're not going here, I'm tired. Seriously. I've got to resolve it. Just the simplest demand. People come to the streets without no guns. You don't come with any clubs or bats or anything. Look at us as we are walking and just walking peacefully. And we have a constitutional right to peaceful protest. The president says so himself. And yes, we're met with bullets, tear gas, water cannons. People are running down the street. When they started shooting, people scattered. We ran away. These policemen followed us as we were running with guns and batons and clubs. For goodness sake, for what?
I'm going to come back with more questions for you, Saratu, but I need to get back to Oboferbo on the line. We seem to have lost the connection. Info. If you just tuned in, you're listening to Hard Factor 99.3 Nigeria Info. Sorry about the disconnection, Chief Oboferbo. I'm seeing you tweet a lot, Chief Oboferbo, about the protest. Now, you don't exactly fit the mold of a radical. You also don't fit the profile of those who get harassed by SARS. So why are you taking such an interest?
Well, like Saratu, I'm also tired. I may not look like the normal target of SARS now, but I did look like that for the majority of my life. And so, I mean, one should not have to get older and fatter just to be able to survive in your country. What about if you don't get a chance to get to my age? You think about these young people, men and women, getting killed every day, not just by SARS, but other units of the police, for no reason other than being young in a country that doesn't view its citizens as people to begin with, but more so when they are young. And because that's really the only crime that these people have committed. They are young, and so they are wearing their hair a different way, or they are dressed in a different way, or they are working in a different way. They are not in an office 8 to 5 or whatever it is that the people in charge of the country are used to as the way work should be. So because of that, you're a young person with your laptop. You're a Yahoo person. These things should not be. And if those of us who don't look radical anymore, to use your phrase, sit back and don't comment and leave it just for the people who are in the problem, all we're doing is preparing the ground for our own persecution. Because after all, we are also being persecuted. When the police decides to raid polling units on election day and shoot people and seize ballot boxes, it's not only the young people who become their victims in that situation. It's all of us. All of us get harassed, and extorted on the roads when we're traveling. They don't reserve that for young people. It's a problem that we all face. So maybe not all of us can go on the streets and march because some of us hate exercise. But I think we can all find a way to contribute to this, and we all need to. This is a Nigerian problem. It's not a young people's problem.
Saratu, have you or anyone you know been a victim of extortion or attack by SARS personnel in the past?
Absolutely. And just when I was, my friends saw me on the protest yesterday. Somebody called me and said, thank you so much for even fighting for us. In fact, just 2 weeks ago, my husband was accosted by SARS, and they said that because his lips are dark, that he smokes weed, and now weed is illegal. I'm not joking. That his lips are dark. That means he's smoking weed, and now weed is illegal. So therefore, he's a drug dealer. I'm not joking. Oh my God. This guy was coming home from work, and he had his laptop, he had his phone, he had a briefcase. He was even wearing a suit. He was even wearing a tie. So you can't even say that it's because of how maybe he has dreadlocks. No. His lips are dark. That was his problem. That was the problem. They followed him to ATM. He had to withdraw 50K to give them. They were going to take him to station. They had already slapped him. And now that was just one person that had called me. The other person called me and said that, one of them, the 3 SARS officers accosted her husband when he was buying corn on the side of the road. And that was, as he just said, he just knew. He didn't want to shout. He said, how much do you want? That's how he got to make it for the negotiations. He said because he was tired. He didn't want to fight anybody. Not just what I heard yesterday, because yesterday was when I was at the protest. There have been so many other stories of people that I've heard. Young people, and of course, even young women have stories, but the reason why we don't hear many young women's stories is because many of them involve sexual violence. So, and as we all know, many young women don't tell if they got raped for good reason, because nobody wants to be stigmatized.
Yeah. You were at the protest in Abuja. Can you tell me the things that the police did that you witnessed? Can you tell me actions by the police that you witnessed?
Yes. So the protest started. We started gathering around 10. We moved around 11:15. We were walking from an area called Unity Fountain in Maitama towards the police headquarters. We had progressed about roughly 25 minutes, when we saw the police forming like a human barricade ahead of us. We didn't get too close. We stopped at the nearest intersection and continued chanting EndSARS, EndSARS, EndSARS. That's how we saw the tear gas. But we stood our ground on the tear gas. The real problem came when we heard water cannons and we heard the pop sound. Like it was like we knew that was live rounds. So we screamed and we all dispersed. I personally, I'd never run that hard in my life before. I ran, like, I was just like a headless chicken. I just ran the nearest area that I could see that was an open space. I took a left, ran down. I was really losing my breath. I tried to hide behind an ATM, spot. But then where I was hiding, I might catch my breath for 5 seconds. Me and 2 other girls were standing there. Well, the other girl continued running. The other girl stayed with me. So it was just 2 of us. We saw a policeman. He saw us, in hiding, and ran towards us with a huge wooden club. Huge. So that's how we ran. I don't even know how the guy didn't catch me. I saw 3 other policemen coming with clubs, in black clubs, and
so we saw how the police reacted. We saw how the police reacted on Friday. And yet on Saturday, people in Abuja still came back to protest again.
Yes. And
you did the same thing on Sunday again. How were you guys able to motivate yourselves, knowing full well what to expect?
Sister, let them go tired. Let them go tired. What are they finishing? What are kind of the finishing? Here's that they finish. But Nigeria, they've been telling us all along that we are 200 million. We know they finish. We are more than them. And when we were running, I noticed a system that they had like the water cannons, then the policemen on foot. They were coming from, because if you've been to Central area, there's like major avenue, then side street. They went from one side street to another, shooting down the street, and then coming after a round of shots. They will now come on foot with back to see who was hiding, and then beat you. We had seen we've seen them, gathering around and just there'll be like 5 of them beating one person. So, my friends and I, we were able to get to safety. We hid somewhere, but the important thing was that we were able to get there before the police did, because if the police had gotten there first, they would have shot and then come through the area. We heard them. We got there before we heard their gunshots, which means that we got there before them, and we were able to hide without them seeing us. But when we saw them actually catch someone, and they beat this girl. The girl can't have been older than 21. She was really young. 6 of them on her. They beat her, kicked her, and they were screaming at her, who paid you? Which tells me that these people think that this is politically motivated and maybe a political opponent, sent the protest. Because they were screaming at her. When she kept saying, nobody, I came by myself, they were visibly angry.
My goodness. So let me come to Chief Oboporbo. The IG has announced the ban, and the president has confirmed it. But this is not the first time that this has happened. SARS has been banned or redeployed 4 times in 5 years before this. Why don't those orders stick, Chico?
Those orders don't stick for multiple reasons. First and foremost, because the orders are not sincere. I think we've all had that situation in the past. Well, okay, let me speak for myself. I've had situations in the past where somebody has come, when I was a child, they've come to the house to report me to my parents or to my older sibling and say, Andy did this, Andy did that, and they say, oh, that's terrible. Andy did it. We want him. What's wrong with him? And then the person goes, and then my people say, well done. This is what's happening each time SARS is banned. It is an outward statement for us, for the benefit of the Nigerians. Yes, SARS has been disbanded or they've been redeployed, but an actual order within the organization is not given, or if it's given with a nod and a wink, with an acknowledgement that it's never meant to be enforced or carried out. It's the same thing we see with checkpoints. Oh, the IG says checkpoint has been banned, but was the IG really serious about it? If the IG was serious about it, how many flying squads has the IG put out into the country to monitor police to check on whether or not they are complying with his ban on checkpoints? How many squads or how many CPs or AIGs or DPOs has the IG tasked with making sure that SARS remains in the barracks or SARS actually is redeployed? Because it can't be that we Nigerians are seeing SARS on the road and the police command is not aware. So obviously those orders have never been carried out in the past simply because, one, they were never intended to be carried out, and or two, the IG and the rest of the police command did not put down any serious mechanisms for making sure the orders were carried out. But for me as an outsider, and for Nigerians as outsiders to the police force, it doesn't matter which of the two is the reason. It simply means there is a lack of evidence or of grounds for trusting such an order coming from the police. So now that the order has been given, well, of course, we still see the young people are out on the street simply because we don't hear this one before.
All right. We'll take a quick break and come back and continue this conversation. You're listening to Hard Facts on 99.3 Nigeria Info. If you just tuned into the show, you are hearing us speak about EndSARS and the protests that happened in the country since Friday. Today is day 5 of these protests in some parts of the country. In Lagos, at least, it's day 5. And a lot has happened since the protest started. We've had, amongst other things, people die. We've also had the president speak. We've also had the IG dissolve the unit SARS. We'll take a break, come back, continue talking to our guests who are both policy analysts. I am Sandra Ezekwesili. This is Hard Facts on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Don't go away.
Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Can't think of a reason why you should apply for a Standard Chartered Visa credit card? 1. A 50-day interest-free period? That's unbeatable. We've checked. 2. Get up to 5 free supplementary cards for your family members. Plus, you earn redeemable reward points every time you use your card. A Standard Chartered credit card is the right card for money when you need it. For more information, please send an email to creditcards.ng@sc.com or call our call center on 01-270-4611 or toll free on 0800-123-5000. Standard Chartered Bank. Here for good.
You are about to leave for work, but your driver is late again.
Hello? Oga, you don't go believe what he do me.
Another time, he runs a red light.
Oga, no worry. Road safety, no day.
This time, he speeds over a bump. Okay, hey, e be like say they just put that one there. Oh. Why risk losing your car when you can just change your driver? Same way you can port to Airtel and still keep your number. Make that switch today and enjoy all calls at 11 kobo per second free data on every recharge, and double data for 3 months on the network with the widest 4G coverage.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Do you want to grow your faith? Do you want to advance? Do you want to gain divine direction in all you do? Then join Reverend Biodu Fatoimbo of the Commonwealth of Zion Assembly as he teaches straight from God's Word live on Sunday morning 7:30 a.m. and Wednesday 6 p.m. on Wazobia Max TV, DSTV channel 259 and UHF 57. Also on Wazobia TV, Go TV 98, Star Times 195, My TV channel 17 and Free TV 744. Church without walls. Koza, your wealthy place.
Moving in our midst, our worship.
A place where you can win without limits. A place where you get a 100% bonus to stake. A place where virtual is brought to reality. Even more. A place where you can bet online anytime, even while you're out of data. Register on actionbet.ng. ActionBet. Think bold. Take action. Win big.
Our friend Oliver is what you call a man with a huge appetite. Gigantic, actually. And if there's one phrase we have come to know Oliver for, it is this.
More data, please.
No matter what we offer him.
More data, please.
So, guess what we did? We heard Glow created new data plans for people like Oliver, and we got him exactly that. And guess what Oliver said?
Excuse me, please, is this all for me? Only me?
Now, Oliver certainly has more than enough data. All thanks to the Glow Mega Data Plans.
With the longer validity you get on Glow Mega Data Plans, you can work from home with ease, run your business better, download non-stop, stream music and movies endlessly, learn online, and share data with anyone. No worries. Get 225 gigabytes at 30,000 Naira for 30 days, 425 gigabytes at 50,000 Naira for 90 days, and 1 terabyte at 100,000 Naira for a year. Dial star 777 hash now to start enjoying these mega plans.
Glow Unlimited.
99.3 Nigeria Info, your number one station for talk. Let's talk.
This is Hard Facts. Welcome back to Hard Facts with Sandra Ezekwesili.
Thank you so much for joining us, Lagos. We're back here. I am Sandra Ezekwesili. I have on the show with me Sarah Abiola and Andy Oboforibo, who are both policy analysts. I told you that we have had at least 2 people be killed during the EndSARS protest, allegedly by police. And we're asking how Nigeria can achieve police reform. So actually, before the break, Andy was telling us why he thought the previous orders from the IG did not stick. Do you agree with his reasons, or do you have your own reasons why you think that the orders to cease and desist basically don't stick?
I actually completely agree with him because at the end of the day, it's political will. The people that are hearing those orders, quote unquote, know fully well that there is no backing, there's no working behind that. They know that it's just to say to appease these noisy protesters so that they get off their backs. But the problem that they're going to have now is that nobody believes a single word that they're saying. They have said this thing since. You've said it so many times. 2017, you said it. What happened? Nothing. 2018, you said it. What happened? Nothing. Now, 2019, you said it. What happened? Nothing. So now they are saying it again. And you know, the thing that's especially distressing is that the Nigerian government actually signed a police act. I think it was last week. The Buhari signed a police act. If he had a desire to have any political will backing police reforms, wouldn't you use it as an opportunity to talk about the police reform work that you want to do, lay out an action plan, tell us what you want to do, give us timelines and say, okay, we'll begin with this EndSARS. No problem. We'll pull them off the streets. We'll back it up by doing A, B, C. Within this time period, this would have happened. That would have happened. So that you can actually hold you to something. If you're not doing that, that means that even that law that you signed was for nothing.
So let's say that it sticks this time. let's say that SARS really remains disbanded and that the officers are redeployed to other formations. Some critics have said they'll simply take their bad behavior to those other places. Do you agree?
100%.
Oh, you agree? Okay, 100%.
For them to behave any better. If the government actually wants to make things different, what they will do is that they will make sure that the people that have done, like start with Jim or Isaac, Ishaka, who the president himself acknowledged. Start with him. Find out who did that to him and charge that person. Find out who else is injuring people and charge them. Use the video evidence that is all over social media to find out the policemen that are running contrary to what you're supposed to do and charge them. If you want to actually do something, let us even see you doing something. To be honest with you, Nigerians have their expectations of government are almost subterranean. So if you charge 5 people, you see that why they work. That's the God honest truth. We can't even clear our subterranean expectations. Expectations are underwater. Not even underground. Our expectations are underwater. Nobody expects the government to do anything. So if you even did 25%, people will say they are working. They can't even do that.
Andy?
Yeah, I think I agree with Sarah too, completely. I mean, it's clear. You move, okay, so you take these, people are complaining about this unit, SARS. By the way, people are complaining about the police in general as well. It's not that police has all the other units in the police force have a stellar record, and then you just have a whole bunch of bad apples in SARS. No, we have lots of bad apples in every police unit, but that SARS has been especially bad, maybe because of the mandate they have, and so the ability to move around. Now you take people. So imagine. I think when we talk about these things, a lot of the time when the government talks about these things, they make it abstract. So let's make it concrete. Imagine a man who has been a SARS officer for the last 10 years. So for 10 years since he left the academy, he's been operating with SARS, learning to extort people on the road, take them at gunpoint to ATMs. He has learned that the best way to determine who a drug dealer is by checking the color of his lips. He has learned that the best way to identify a fraudster, the zenith of detective work when it comes to fraudsters, is to check hairstyle and to check the pictures in their phone gallery. So he's learned all these bad, to put it lightly, bad policing practice. He has also learned that if citizens resist him on the road, he has every right to threaten them, quote, I go waste you and nothing will happen. He has actually wasted numerous citizens and nothing has happened. He has extorted, he has killed, he has raped, he has battered for 10 years, for a decade. Then one day, because those same people who were previously his victims stood up and said no EndSARS, the IG says, okay, Mr. Serial Killer, Serial Rapist, Serial Extortioner in SARS, you are no longer going to be in SARS where you had all these liberties. I am going to move you to maybe anti-kidnapping, or I'm going to move you to a regular police patrol. Do we really believe that hardened criminal with a badge will suddenly behave himself? That's my answer.
That's a good question. And if redeployment isn't the total solution, then what is, Chief Obukwego?
You know that there's this meme on the internet with the Lion King where Mufasa threw Simba away instead of raising him up. I don't know, like, can we throw the police away and start again? They did it in Georgia. They did it in the Ukraine. Because everything has to go. Everything has to change about the police. I just explained to you how police have been taught to detect crime. They've been taught to detect crime, I don't want to use a word because any word I want to use to describe how they detect crime will come across as an insult. So let me just say they've been taught to detect crime in an illogical way that is dangerous to citizens. How's that? So their police work is zero. They have to all be retrained on that from scratch. Their knowledge of the law is zero. We had a former commander of SARS telling the press that any young person he sees, he has a right to suspect the young person because no young person should be driving a car that is more expensive than a certain amount. I mean, like these are, and actually he was stating right that the Constitution and the laws do not give him. So they need to be retrained on what the law is and what my rights are when they see me and what their powers actually are and are not. All that training has to happen. They have to be re-equipped. They have to be, then we also have to put in place monitoring mechanisms to make sure that they're not just out there on their own doing whatever they want to do. So when you look at all the work that needs to be done, that Lion King meme is looking more, useful than I would have normally have said, yeah.
Saratu, some Nigerians have said that we will not have a better police force until they're better paid. So as part of the solution, they're suggesting that we set up trust funds or other mechanisms for the private sector to help pay police to a higher salary scale. What do you think about this?
I think I understand why they think that, but that's not true.
Okay.
At the end of the day, the major issue that we're having is that the police rather enjoys its power. That power, there's no amount of money you can use to replicate it. Because at the end of the day, they know that they can do whatever they can do or whatever they are doing with zero repercussions. There's nothing you can do to change that unless you actually change the incentives, which is really making sure that there's repercussions for undue use of violence against citizens. That is not changeable with money. And to go back to what Andy had said earlier about training, look, they have trained the people. UN women. When I was working, I used to work with UN women quite closely a few years ago, about 6 years ago. 6 years ago, UN women had conducted trainings on gender sensitivity training, particularly on sexual violence victims. 6 years ago. There's been the UK DFID, UK National Department of Development, DFID, has been funding police reform for almost the past decade. How much more training do you want them to do, Uncle? They have done so much training for them. They are doing it because they know they will get away with it. Leave the matter. There is no amount of money. If you give them 500K a month, they'll still be like this. They'll just be a little bit richer.
Some critics are suggesting that the protests are being funded by fraudsters or other criminals. Can you explain to Lagos how these protests are getting funded and organized and sustained?
Who is bankrolling you?
Who's bankrolling you?
Let me tell you something. Ordinary protesters, ordinary people who have stories. If you talk to the average person that is a protester, they are young professionals, people who have done work, who themselves have experienced harassment. This is not about people that are bankrupt. I was on the road. I wasn't bankrupt. And a lot of my friends were on the road. We weren't bankrupt. We are just ordinary Nigerians who understand that, number one, this is that we are now on the road like this. If we fail, it can become worse, so because they know that even without their noise, nothing happens. It's going to get even worse. So we are this. So there's a saying that you can't go home again. The second you've gone so far, you kind of cross the Rubicon a little bit. Something must come out of this. Because if it doesn't come out, these people will be further emboldened to continue their bad behavior.
So the president's announcement, the IG's announcement, isn't that something that has come out?
No. Because they have said these things before. like I said, 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, they have all said in all each of these years, since last 4 years, that SARS has been disbanded, SARS has been dissolved. But yet, we're expressing the same wahala up and down. So what are we saying?
So what would it take to get you off the road? What would it take to get Nigerian youth off the road?
I want to hear from Buhari. Notice that when Buhari made a statement, he did not echo the IGP. The IGP said that SARS is therefore dissolved. Did we hear Buhari say it? No, we did not. This is the same Buhari that signed into law the National Police Act last week. And he couldn't even open his mouth and say anything about it. That tells me that right now they're not ready. And if they want to have coconut head, us Nigerian young people, we also have coconut head. No, and all of us will do it.
Chief of Officer, I'll take a final thought from you and let you both go.
Okay, yes, and I agree 100% with Sarah too. Like this particular corps of police, trained, retrained, it doesn't change anything. And I agree with her, it comes down to power. I'm also against the idea, in principle, of increasing their salary as a part of a solution right now. Doctors are underpaid. We don't say, oh, that allows doctors to kill patients. Teachers are underpaid. We don't say that allows teachers to abuse students. The police, there are mechanisms for them to address their grievances. The payment is a grievance. Instead, they chose to use the guns given to them to turn them on us, who are not the ones who are underpaying them. So if we're going to talk about all these things, maybe we need to do a root and branch reform, like I suggested. Georgia did it, Ukraine did it, where basically they had to go get another source of funds, start training a different crop of police from scratch at a higher salary scale with higher recruitment requirements, educational requirements, start retraining them, and then gradually phase out the old police with the new police. Because right now, this thing has become culture inside them. I really don't think there is anything that we can fundamentally do to change that 10-year SARS veteran I talked about.
But we cannot do this immediately. So how do we get young kids to stop protesting?
Why must we get young kids to stop protesting? All the time that their parents and older siblings didn't protest, did Nigeria get better? The young people are not hurting anybody. Let them stay and protest. Maybe that's what will make government sit up. If it means they have to stay in the street for a year, let them stay in the street for a year. Then maybe government will sit up. Why should we put the onus on the young people to behave themselves and enter house when government and the police has failed to behave themselves for 60 years? Enough is enough.
All right. Andy Boforbo, Asaratu Abiola, thank you so much for talking to us on Hard Facts.
Thanks for having us.
All right, Lagos, it's up to you. Let's talk. 0700-993-993. You can also tweet at us at Nigeria Info FM. You can share your thoughts via Facebook, Nigeria Info 99.3. Hello. Hello? 99.3.
Hello.
Hello,
hello,
sir.
Sandra.
What's your name?
Hello. Yeah, good evening.
Hello. Good evening.
Hello, I'm hearing you. This is Paul Thompson, Sandra.
Good to have you on the show, sir.
Yes. What I want to say that, Sandra, I joined the protest today in the toolkit. So what we need, our president did not say anything. He doesn't say anything. We need him to say something about end of SARS. We didn't need SARS in Nigeria again. We didn't need SARS in Nigeria. And the second one, we didn't need police checkpoint. The police remain in their station. So if anyone needs police, let's say go to the station and bring the police. We didn't need police. We didn't need SARS. We are tired of SARS and police in the street.
All right.
Are you hearing me?
All right.
Yes, we are tired of the police in the street and SARS. Even in the living in Aldo Road.
Okay.
I think last week, police were mufti and rob and they stop other Okada people in the street. I saw it. Let our president speak. We didn't need SARS. We didn't need police in the street. Let them remain in their station until maybe somebody needs the choir of them. You can go to the station and bring them, and they return back to their station. We didn't need SARS. We didn't need police.
All right, thank you so much for calling us. I'm looking at footage right now that's coming out of Surulere. It looks like it's police officers, because the young man who's being dragged on the floor is being dragged into what appears to be an anti-kidnapping unit. People on social media are claiming that this footage is from Surulere, from the protest today in Surulere, and who they're dragging on the floor. I'm watching this. It's terrible. They're dragging this young man on the floor. They're kicking this young man as they're dragging him on the floor and dragging him into the anti-kidnapping unit right there in Surulere. I'll find out exactly where before the show ends.
Hello?
Hello,
Sandra.
Thanks for calling. Yes, how are you?
This is Jeff from Kireke.
Thank you for calling us. Go ahead.
Hello?
I can hear you, sir. Go ahead.
The fact that this police reinforcement they only want to do, for me, the better solution for them to reform the police. Sandra, they can get a branch as an headquarter. Be rotating this police every 4 hours without giving them the exact location they are going to. So when they get there, the work they meet on the table, they pick up from there. That is the only way you can only change the system. If you do that thing, you see the police that is collecting bribes, you don't know where it's going to. So it will be a better situation for them to reform this police in Nigeria and make them serve us better. For the youth in the streets, I don't think the youth are ready to go, because the youth themselves are the one they are molesting. For you to molest a young man and he change his mind to stay in the streets, that is another thing else for him. Until Buhari decide to take this matter to the right level, to tell the youth that, okay, fine, we urge you, go to your home. There will be no more police and there will be no more SARS. That is the only way this thing will end.
Okay. Thank you, sir, for calling. So I'm getting confirmation that that place is on Hogan Bassi off Western Avenue. That's the anti-kidnapping unit that young man was being dragged into. Take another call. 99.3. Hello.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
Turn your radio off. What's your name?
Yeah, it's off now. I'm Tonya. I'm calling from Festac.
Tonya, thank you for calling. Were you a part of the protest today?
No, actually. I wasn't.
Were you affected by the protest?
No, not really, but I just want to make a contribution.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Nigeria is the only country where I see that the police or members of the public service think the public owe them something, not the other way around. You know, when you encounter a police and he's supposed to protect you, but then he thinks that he is there for you to do something for him. You know, I don't understand where a policeman will stop you, search you, and not find anything incriminating on you, but still would ask you how much, what do you have on you, what are you going to give me, or whatever. You know, so I believe the first thing we have to do for a reform or to get something better is, one, those people in those offices need to be there based on merit. A lot of police officers didn't even pass through school for them to know what the public needs, for them to understand what is human rights. You know, a lot of people are there based on man, no man. My brother is there, my uncle is there. They just put them there. They are kitted, and they are placed on the streets. And when they encounter people, they just say whatever they want to say, not even understanding that these people have their rights. They are free to walk on the streets. They are free to move around with their laptops or their phones, have a good phone, or even or have dreadlocks. So I think the best, the thing that they need to work on to start the reform is, you know, let's get people, educated people there, put there at the same time based on merit, not my uncle or my father or my brother is there. People that don't even understand anything or what the human life means.
Thank you, Tonya, for calling. We appreciate it. We've got Logway Vic on Facebook who says, police reform can only truly happen when these sets of fired and graduates are employed into the force before we can see changes. Anything other than that, we are just wasting our time because these sets of policemen are thugs. We have so many graduates who can police the country effectively being unemployed. John Awoke says, how we are going to reform police when our communities and society are not reformed? There's no value system anywhere. Let's restructure the nation and every abnormality will be corrected. All right, we've got more comments here on Facebook. Good evening, Sandra Ezekwesili. The only way to achieve police reform is to get good leadership in Nigeria because every organ of government is not working properly. We've got King White Arabo who says the Nigerian government needs to tell us our rights and our future. We are the Nigerian youth. Is it the Nigerian government that will tell you your future? No, you determine what your future is. And you tell the Nigerian government what you want that future to be. Femi Taiwo says several more kills today already, including the one in Surulere. Well, we don't have confirmation one way or the other about those killings. But if you are watching on Facebook, we're currently showing you that footage I was talking about earlier on of a young man who was being dragged into a police station in Surulere. This young man being dragged by 3 police officers. From what I'm looking at here, by 3 or 4 police officers. It's a gang of police officers, really. They're dragging him on the floor. They're kicking him in the back. And this is happening in Surulere. This is happening off of Hogan Bassi. That's where this is happening. This is happening where you have Western Avenue in Surulere. That's the anti-kidnapping unit there. That's where that young man is being dragged into. So we're hoping that lawyers can swing into action. We're hoping that that protester can be released because I think that's one of the demands of the people who are protesting as one of the things they require to get them off the street. But Lagos, thank you so much for being a part of today's show. I'm doing this show from home myself because I was stuck in traffic for hours yesterday. And today, because I heard that there will be these protests, I decided it would be better to work from home than not be able to bring you hard facts at all. Let's do it again tomorrow, shall we? Hopefully, tomorrow I'll be able to do the show from the live studios. If these protests continue, I may also have to bring you the show from my house. But if you are in traffic yourself, please hang in there. Please stay safe. And this will pass as soon as it can. The governor was at the Lekki toll gate today to try and pacify the protesters, but the protesters want to hear from the president. They're saying that since the governor says he doesn't have control over police, that police is in the federal government's business, they don't want to be addressed by the governor. So we're watching. We're seeing what's going to happen. We're hoping that the police doesn't fire live rounds into protesters like they did in Surulere again. And we'll keep our eye on this story. And the more we know, the more you will know. My name is Sandra Ezekwesili. I'm on social media as S. Ezekwesili. Those are our hard facts, Lagos. Good night.